Good morning. We're going to keep going here with independence. We've got some words we need to understand: covered member, immediate family, close relative, period of the engagement, period covered by the financial statements. Covered member, individuals, everybody on the audit team, everybody. People in a position to influence the engagement. Partners who provide more than 10 hours of non-audit work, managers who provide more than 10 hours of non-audit work, all partners in the same office as the engagement partner. Let's look at 3 for a minute. Now remember, if a partner or a manager provides 5 hours of audit work, they're a member of the audit team. So this is non-audit work. It also includes the firm, its employee benefit plan, and any entity controlled by covered members. We're not worried about those. We're just going to learn the 4 above, or 5 if you count partners and managers separately. Position to influence the engagement. So the supervisor senior can influence the engagement. The manager on the job can influence the engagement. The engagement partner, the office managing partner who has input into the engagement partner, anybody who evaluates the performance of the engagement partner, anybody who provides quality control for the engagement. So one of our alumni, Dave Sullivan, for a long time was the quality control guy for Deloitte's tech practice. So even though he wasn't technically on the Microsoft engagement, he reviewed the work done on the Microsoft engagement, and he would have evaluated the engagement partner. So he would have been in a position to influence the engagement. Dave got promoted to a position where he effectively was in charge of Deloitte's North American audit practice. At that point in time, Dave was involved in evaluating all engagement partners and responsible for quality control over all engagements. So Dave could not have owned stock in any of Deloitte's audit clients. Now, we talk about financial interest as stock. It's easy, but you could say if you loaned money to a client, that's a financial interest. If you bought bonds in a company, that would be a financial interest. So we use stock as an example, but notice that it talks about financial interest, not just stock. Another thing to point out here is typically in an office, a manager, an audit manager, will not be in a position to influence the engagement unless that audit manager is assigned to the engagement. There may be some exceptions. The firms all have experts that you go to for technical advice. They may not be partners. They may be managers or senior managers, and they would technically be in a position to influence the engagement. But we're going to keep this straightforward and simple here. So if an audit manager is not assigned to the engagement, we're going to assume they're not in a position to influence that engagement. The reason all partners in the engagement office is these people have been working together a long time. They're very, very close. My first 20 years at Cal Poly, I had lunch with Jack Robison probably 4 days a week, some days 5 days a week. It's not an understatement to say I knew Jack better than I knew my own brother. So partners are like that, and one partner may be able to influence the judgment of another partner. So all partners in the engagement office are considered covered members. So we've got all individuals on the test engagement, all individuals in a position to influence the engagement. Partners are managers who provide more than 10 hours of non-audit work. All partners in the same office as the engagement partner. Oh, does that mean tax partners? Yes, all partners in the same office. And their immediate family. Now be careful with the wording here. Patty is part of my immediate family. However, if I'm on an audit engagement, the fact that Patty is immediate family does not make her a covered member. Patty's not a member of the ICPA. However, it can impair the firm's independence. So immediate family do not become covered members, but they can impair independence. So who are immediate family? Spouse, spousal equivalent, and dependents. Notice that's not children. Notice that's not dependent children. That is dependents, any dependent. Direct financial interest would be common stock. It could be an investment in a bond. It could be a loan to the company. Those are all financial interest. Material indirect financial interest is a little more complicated. So indirect financial interest are investments in mutual funds. We talked about those yesterday. Typically, if it's a diversified mutual fund, our investment will not impair independence. So if I buy stock in Fidelity, Fidelity owns stock in the Fidelity Mutual Fund, owns stock in Intel. I audit Intel. That probably will not impair independence if it's a diversified mutual fund. Investments by close relatives. So investments by close relatives are considered indirect financial interest. My brother is a close relative. If my brother has stock in an audit client, that's an indirect financial interest. My brother's investment will not impair independence unless it is material to him. It's whether it's material to the close relative or not. So my mother, when she was alive, had a net worth of less than $20,000. If she had a $10,000 investment in a company and I issued an adverse opinion that caused her investment to fall, that would cause my mother harm. So if it's material to my mother, then it will impair independence. My brother, on the other hand, was a very successful home builder in Florida. His definition of materiality is different than my mother's or mine for that matter. So if my brother had a $20,000 investment in one of my audit clients, that would be totally immaterial to him. If I issue an adverse opinion and the value of the stock goes to zero, it would not materially affect my brother's financial situation. So is it material to the close relative? Close relatives are parents, non-dependent children, and sibling. Notice it's non-dependent children. So both my daughters, Lindsay and Christy, are out of the house and are no longer dependent. They would be close relatives. One of the answers that I get on the test that I laugh at is some people will say non-dependents. Well, non-dependence for me is everybody in the world except Patty. So the answer is not non-dependence, it's not dependent children. Financial interest. Part A, a direct financial interest or a material indirect financial interest in a client will impair independence, and this threat cannot be mitigated with safeguards. Remember, there's 2 more presentations for this chapter coming up.